Oh, come here, Luna. Come here, Luna. Come here, baby. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, Luna. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Now I've got Luna at me. How are you all doing? Welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing well today. That magnesium that I took last night that I mentioned in my video yesterday, it helped me sleep. I slept through the night. I woke up about 6, which unfortunately is the average, but at least it was 7 hours of sleep. So yeah, I slept really, really hard. It was, it's a more pure magnesium, and it's by a company called Pure, P-U-R-E. Got it on Amazon, and I gotta tell you, it did help with my sleep. I took it an hour before I went to, well no, actually it was half an hour before I went to bed, and within about 45 minutes or so I was time to go to sleep. So that worked. So I'm happy about that. And it's a beautiful day here today in Albuquerque. Oh my goodness, gorgeous. Anyway, let's get right to the subject. I wanted to make this video because as I was scrolling through videos last night, I had noticed some videos about stay-at-home moms. And I'm talking about this in terms of stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads. I just don't think they get enough credit, and I think it's wrong. I think a lot of people look at a stay-at-home mom as being lazy, not contributing, what have you. Well, I think that's horrible. I can't think of anything more of a contribution to your family life than to have somebody home, man or woman, you know, mom or dad, staying home to take care of your children. As far as I'm concerned, children are, the job of taking care of children is more important than anything else in the world. That's my view. After my first marriage, I was 18 when I got married, was married 3 years, had a little boy, and when we got divorced, he was barely even walking, just barely walking. I had to go to work, and for me personally, it was devastating. I hated leaving him. I was fortunate that my parents took care of him. They were young enough to be able to do that, and they took care of him while I worked. So I was fortunate in that way. I didn't have to leave him at a daycare or a babysitter or a nanny or anything like that. But it still broke my heart. There were times I would drive to work and I would be crying because I hated leaving him behind. That's me. It devastated me to leave him behind. Every time I drove away from my parents' house, my heart just tugged at me like, oh my God, I'm leaving my little boy. And he was so young. And for me, it was devastating. I hated it. I absolutely hated leaving my little boy. And then I was divorced for 5 years. Then I got remarried. And when I got pregnant with our first child in my second marriage, which was my daughter Angela, we just agreed that it would be fine if I stayed home, if I was a full-time stay-at-home mom, which I was very grateful for, because he said at the time that the child he had in his first marriage was raised in daycare. I mean, basically raised in daycare. Didn't want that again for any more children of his. So I was very happy to be a stay-at-home mom. I loved it. I loved being there for all 5 of my kids. I loved being there, you know, just to watch them grow, to be there for all their milestones. Because I was raised by a stay-at-home mom. And I am so grateful that I had a stay-at-home mom. I loved it. I loved having a stay-at-home mom. I knew people at that time in the 70s, you know, that had working parents, both working parents. And I was very glad that when I got home, my mom was there. And she always was in the kitchen making something all the time. It was just a very comforting, secure, wonderful feeling to walk in and see my mom there. Even as a teenager. Even as a teenager, when you're in that stage where you're pulling away and you're kind of a rebel and you're kind of like, you know, mom and dad. At the same time, though, I would come home and there was my mom. And it gave me a very strong and comforting feeling. I don't know how to explain that other than that way. It just comforted me to know my mom was home. And I know that right now, I know there are a lot of women who would love to be a stay-at-home mom. Maybe men too, I don't know, but mainly women do that. But they would love to be a stay-at-home mom, but they can't because of the financial situation they're in. And then with our economy as horrible as it is, and the prices outrageous on everything now, especially food, I know it's very difficult for a lot of moms who, you know, they would love to be home. If they had a choice, they would be home raising their kids rather than being out working and leaving their kids. Or having latchkey kids, you know, that type of thing. I don't think that they get enough credit, those that do stay home. I'll give you an example. One time, many years ago, when I was still a stay-at-home mom with all 5 kids, I went to a dinner with my then husband. It was a business dinner. And, you know, we're in there chatting, talking, and then these 2 women walk up to me. And they're like, you know, not even hello, how are you, nice to meet you. They walk up, they smile, and one goes, so what do you do? And I looked at her, I said, excuse me? And she goes, what do you do for a living? And I said, oh, well, I don't work outside of the home. I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom with my 5 kids. I'm not lying when I tell you. They both looked at me. They both kind of gave this smile, you know, and walked off. Had nothing more to say to me. Didn't want to talk to me anymore because I couldn't sit there and talk about some career. I was like, up yours. My first thought was, up yours. Who cares what you think? And yeah, literally she looked at me like, well, you're not worth talking to. You don't have a career. You're not working outside your home. That's what she looked like. Well, anybody who's a good stay-at-home mom or dad knows that it is a very hard job. It takes a lot of work, a lot of patience. It takes a lot. You know, I kept a very clean home, you know, taking the kids to and from school, to their friends, you know, being there for them when they were sick. That's when I was especially loving being a mom, is when my children would get sick. Nothing gave me more, I don't know, joy, comfort, whatever, inside to know that I was there to take care of my child. It made me feel wonderful that I could be there to take care of them. So, yeah, I really, from, you know, everybody, you know, that whole bit of, well, what do you do? What do you do? Well, if a woman says, or a man says for that matter, well, I stay home and I'm a full-time home parent, full-time at-home parent, they're just as worthy of conversation about their life and what they do as somebody who's sitting in an office all day. They're just as worthy and should be treated just as well. But a lot of people do. They will look down upon people who stay home full-time to take care of their children. And that's really a shame. I think it's disgusting. I wouldn't, all the money in the world, you couldn't have given me enough money to give up what I experienced as a stay-at-home mom. There wouldn't have been enough money. You could have told me, oh, I'll pay you $200 an hour to take this job. I would have been, no thank you. I want to be with my kids. I want to be there for my kids. I want to be their mother. I don't want somebody else mothering them all day or replacing me all day. You couldn't have. You just couldn't have offered me enough to give that up. And part of that decision of feeling that way is knowing I did have to leave my first child for 5 years. And it was terrible. Oh, how I hated it. And then when my mom would tell me about something he did or he achieved, whatever, while she was watching him, it hurt me. I was like, oh God, I should have been there for that. I wish I would have seen that happen first, that type of thing. It was very hard for me. Now, I know there are a lot of women out there who are like, not me, I'm glad to leave my kid and go to work. Well, I wasn't one of those. I was the kind that, I don't know how to explain it. The feeling that I had to know that I was there for them all the time was the best feeling in the world, because that's what I grew up with. I grew up with a mom who was there all the time, and I loved it. Even during those rebellious years or whatever, I loved knowing my mom was there. I could count on her. When I got sick, it was so comforting to have my mother taking care of me and being there for me, and not stressing that, oh my God, she's sick, I'm going to have to miss work, oh my God, I got to call my boss. That whole thing that I went through for those 5 years, that was no fun. I remember if my son got sick, I would be like, should I stay home? What should I do? And my mom would be like, don't worry, I'll take care of him. And that made me feel bad. It made me feel bad that I could not be there for him when he was sick. I was in a job where if I took time off, they weren't very understanding about it at all. No, baby, not now, not now. They were not very understanding. So it made it even harder, which caused me a lot of stress, which I'm sure, affected things. But yeah, I wanted to make this to give kudos to all you parents out there who stay home to take care of your children. That's your main goal, is taking care of your children. Yeah, I watched a video of this woman who was just crying because she said that her friends kind of wandered away from her once she got pregnant and decided to stay home and be full-time mom. She and her husband agreed upon that. He felt that her being home, taking care of his child, their child, was more important than anything. And she was crying because her friends were starting to treat her like she wasn't of value anymore, which is absolutely sickening. I mean, that just disgusts me to no end. How you cannot value a person who is taking care of their children, you're messed up. You're messed up if you don't value that. And so I just wanted to make this to support the stay-at-home moms and dads who have chosen to, no baby, not now, no, God, who have chosen to do that as their job. That is a job. Anybody who claims it's not a job is crazy. You can list everything you do and say, well, should I charge you for taking care of your child? Should I? I mean, I'm a nurse, I'm a psychiatrist, I'm a therapist, I'm a caregiver, I'm a teacher, I'm a chef, I'm a chauffeur, you name it. That's what you do when you're a stay-at-home parent. You do a lot of things, an awful lot of things, and should be valued just as much as somebody who goes to a regular, outside of the house job. I just had to make this for those of you that maybe you're feeling left out, maybe you're feeling like you're not valued because you're a stay-at-home parent. Believe me, the job you have of taking care of your child or children is more important than anything in this world, and I mean that literally, because you are giving them care. They're not going to be hurt or abused by some daycare or some babysitter or some nanny, which we see all the time. You can get on YouTube and look up things about nannies and babysitters and caregivers, what they've done to children that they're taking care of. Get on YouTube, and some of the stuff you see is absolutely horrible. And what some of these nannies and babysitters have done, it's just horrible what they've done to children, what they're caught on camera doing. So you are giving your child safety by knowing you are there to love and take care of your child. And part of that, part of what comes with that is also taking care of wherever you live. Just because you're taking care of a child doesn't mean you let go of everything and let the house become a filthy mess. But at the same time, you do have to balance it. You have to balance it. Well, I need to take care of my child. I need to clean this maybe while they're sleeping, or I need to whatever. It's a balancing act, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience. So being a stay-at-home parent is a job. And anybody who tells you otherwise is not all there. They're just not all there. They're not doing it. That's what it is. They're not doing it. Tell somebody who's telling you, oh, so you don't work, you stay at home. Tell them, why don't you try doing that and see how much it's not work. It is work to be a stay-at-home parent. If you do it right. If you're doing the cleaning and the laundry and the dishes and the chauffeuring and everything else that you have to do in a household, it's a lot of work while you're trying to take care of this child. But the thing is that when that child needs you, you're there for that child. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to all you stay-at-home parents, because I don't think they're given enough credit. I just don't think they're given enough credit for what they do. You always hear somebody admiring somebody who works outside of the home. Well, I admire those too who also stay home. But like I said, comes a time where financially a lot of women can't do it, or men, whoever wants to do it, they can't. But this is for those that do. Kudos to you for being at home with your child, and you deserve that credit, just like anybody who works deserves it. So you guys take care, and I will see you in my next video. And love yourself for being a stay-at-home parent. You're doing a very important job. Take care. Bye-bye.